Hello Insurance Innovator. In this episode I will share with you a recording from a panel discussion on the topic of how to leverage digital innovation in the insurance business.
My name is Lukas Naab. I'm the co-founder of Mainz Medical, a Frankfurt-based AI startup, and basically what we do is structure unstructured medical text for process automation in hospitals and insurance companies. This is what we do. I'm doing business development and sales there, and my statement for the day is everything that can be automated will be automated in the near future. Insurance companies who don't adapt go the way of Kodak because they will not be able to compete with the cost structure of other more innovative insurance companies, or keep their then unsatisfied customers.
Thank you. Let's see if this moves from you to... Just press it 1 second.
Yes. So, hello, I'm Uli Kleber. Originally I was also with the old insurance world. I spent over 12 years with a large Italian insurer, worked for them in Germany, Italy, Belgium, and the United States. Now I'm with Accenture Management Consulting in their insurance practice, and I'm also news correspondent for the global news platform, The Digital Insurer. So in my opinion, in the future, ecosystems and platforms will take center stage in tomorrow's consumer worlds, and it's going to be very important that insurers are able to catch up with the InsurTechs and move from being observers to participants and finally orchestrators of these new platforms and ecosystems.
Okay, great, thank you. Do you want to add another statement as well? Where do you think the world is heading there?
I would like to add to Uli Kleber's statement. I think it's now clear that insurance companies have to cooperate with InsurTech startups and other startups, of course, to improve their innovation, improve their activities, value chain, and create value, and stay current, stay in business.
Okay, great, thank you. Question to start with. We have checked several surveys from 2017 where CEOs of insurance companies have been asked where they are and how they look at innovation, and they said this is the sector where the industry is most concerned and afraid of innovation, that they were not willing to innovate in 2017. 2 years later, from your experience, have they been forced to change, or what has happened in the meantime? Are they more innovative, or are they still waiting to be kicked?
So there has been change, that's correct, because I'm more than 2 years in this innovation, doing this stuff. So at the beginning, 2 or 3 years ago, I had the feeling I was alone as an insurance innovator. I was the only one. And then in the last 2 to 3 years, there came a lot of other guys and cool innovators that are trying to improve the insurance industry. So now, in addition, we have this InsurTech startup boom, where a lot of investors and startups realized, hey, insurance is a perfect digital product. It's completely automatable, completely digitalizable, and they have sensed that. They got a lot of money from investors, and now we have this wave of InsurTech startups that are coming after the insurance companies, yes, and bringing us new ideas and innovation and technology. So it has changed, yes, but from inside of an insurance company, they still want to do business as usual. So you still need more insurance innovators, but they get they hear us already. And Baloise, for example, the company I work for, is one of the leading insurers who is investing heavily in innovation and is giving serious thought about how can we improve our existing business and how can we get our employees and technical systems up to date.
Okay.
But it's a very hard journey.
Other opinions or other views on that, or do you agree?
I agree that on one thing, perception has changed. If you also look at what, for example, look at conferences. I remember exactly InsurTech in the beginning shared the stage with the fintech part. Fintech was huge, had a center stage, and InsurTech was just crammed into a small space with a lot of people with a lot of energy and interest. And now it's a full-blown conference where you have a lot of people coming in. So you see all insurers have realized that they need to do something, and it's no longer about belittling the InsurTech guys and thinking that these are not relevant for us because they will not change the system. Now the question is really about how do you make that change and how do you bring that about? And I think one of the big issues here is how to scale innovation that is coming in, because as you said, there's a lot of innovation activity, but the question is what's the impact on the top line and the bottom line? And so far, the largest part of the business is not yet touched on it.
Okay. Any additions?
Yeah, just a little bit. I think we agree everybody has realized that innovation is needed, and if you don't innovate, you're gone. But I think for many insurance companies, they have a misconception about innovation. They think innovation is digitization. And just going from paper-based processes to digital processes is not innovation. It's just a shitty process that's now digital and way too fast for humans to comprehend. So you need to rethink from product to customer experience to all the processes internally, where do you want to be in the next 5 or 10 years? And not many of them have yet realized that. So I think there's a gap there.
Can you distinguish between the different types of insurances?
I'm coming from the health insurance, life
Were they
insurance
quicker?
world.
Who was quicker? Who was slower?
I don't know.
Let me tell you a little secret, because I've been working for over 6 years in the life insurance department. And then we got so much regulation on it, and I like to do cool stuff, and I can't do any innovation. From my personal point of view, I can't innovate life insurance anymore because it's heavily regulated. I can't do, for me, I'm frustrated. Then I had the opportunity to change over to the non-life, to the business. I said, hey, that's a cool place there. There's easy regulation. They have there's more easy products. And so I switched over to the non-life part of the business, and it was the right choice, because the right decision, because there the InsurTech startup wave took off in the non-life business line. So the non-life business line is the most innovative right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a question of whether you talk about short or long tail. So life insurance is typically has very long contracts. Running the same for health insurance, and so that's why non-life is easier and quicker typically. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. When we look at the non-life insurances, if you've seen the business case that you've shown on your slides, can you just quickly show what are typical use cases where InsurTech really comes in, also for the slow-moving tankers? So where would you see quick wins for the old ones?
For different kinds of business lines, or
just where it suits, where you see it's really worked out. It really changed the thing.
So I'll just give one example I showed here. The claims ratio is very high, over 50%, and if you have an InsurTech startup, can reduce the claim payments, that is direct profit for the company. So this is directly based on the bottom line effective, so this would be a very good low-hanging fruit.
Right.
So that's why I chose
yeah, exactly.
for example. Then also in the administration costs, one other example is there is in Hamburg a SNACT. They have a selfie ident software running. So I take a selfie from myself and hold the passport beside me, and then it takes a few seconds, and then they identify, yes, this is Karl Heinz Passler, he's alive, and he is it. So this is also for identification. What are we doing right now? We send paper back and forth. You go to the post office.
Post identity.
It's a hassle. So this is also very quick and saves a lot of administration costs.
Any striking examples that you could share?
I think, for example, wherever you have the possibility, when you look through the value chain, wherever you have the possibility to do a plug and play, adding of a new feature. So, for example, InsurTech comes to my mind, a startup that actually offers different payment options. Because if you look at, for example, adding PayPal as a payment option, and you ask an internal IT system provider for that, they typically going to quote you, half a year to install that. While the startup comes in and says, well, we have the solution, these are the APIs, you can even choose what kind of payment services you want to add to that. I think the second point to that, one is enabling and the other one is new products, wherever you have on-demand insurance that is not being provided yet. Use and go for a startup, don't reinvent the wheel.
And this is something that the tankers accept and cooperate with? Or is it something that is a parallel?
Let's challenge us.
Yeah, I've seen that many tankers that actually do that, but one good example I think is Deutsche Familienversicherung from Frankfurt, where they innovate products in the 4x4 matrix. That's maybe a thing. Very easy to understand, one-click buy, on demand basically, insurance. So that is very innovative, I think, in a way. But the big tankers probably haven't seen that yet.
They ignore it.
Yeah, they ignore it. It's like
because it's
not relevant.
Still small. So
yeah.
wait 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
These guys at Deutsche Familienversicherung are really serious.
Okay, so we have one question in the audience.
I agree with you, Lukas, that most tankers, old insurance companies understand process optimization when they're talking about digitization, which forgets all the other topics, business model and client. Yeah? So I agree, but I disagree that everyone is doing innovation heavily currently, because my feeling is that big insurers are shrinking the innovation activities currently. Arrow, for example, has closed its Berlin lab and moved to Eastern Europe. Allianz Digital Factories shrinking rapidly. Yeah? So I think the phase of experimentation is now ending a little bit. They have experimented a little bit and now see, okay, we have burned a lot of money and we have to focus more. And this is my experience. Do you agree or do you have different view on this?
But do you think they are frustrated?
No, not frustrated, but maybe a little bit more focused. Business
and more efficiency. Where's the money at the end?
Yeah, yes, maybe.
Okay.
Well, more and more insurance companies I visit have innovation managers, at least. The question is, do they have a mandate to actually bring people together? And I see that, and more do have that mandate. So they are a little bit more focused in the process of choosing innovative ideas, choosing innovative processes, I don't know. But in general, reluctance is high, especially when the hype of AI came and everybody's like, we're doing everything with AI. And obviously some burned their fingers heavily. But now a little more realism settles in, so I agree there.
Okay. Then maybe I want to turn the focus on a different aspect, the aspect of risk. And we look at risk from both sides, for the larger organizations trying to cooperate with InsurTech companies, handing over expertise, relying on the services they provide, and on maybe a startup going away in 2 years or being bought or acquired by somebody else, and the service no longer being available on the one hand, so it's a risk for the larger ones, and the risk for the InsurTech company being responsible and liable for what they do for an insurance company. And how do you deal with that these two type of risks when it comes to making sure that people are able to cooperate on a basis that it's valid for them to do so? You mentioned lawyers and then the legal team and how to make them cooperate, but how do you mitigate the risk that arises for both sides?
Yeah, you mentioned what I mentioned, the lawyers, but it's like, for me, it's like with girls. I only need a lawyer when it's over. So this is the worst case for working with InsurTech startup. It's not a good case, because the other startups will get it. They talk to each other and then said, oh, I don't work with SCADA. That's not good. So you have to invest early in checking the date, you make workshop, and then you try to figure out, do they know what they are talking about? Because, of course, we as insurance innovators or innovation managers, we get a lot of workshops, and then we use also InsurTech startups to coach ourselves. of course. So we are also very knowledgeable about what they are doing. And then we get a sense of, are they capable of doing it? Do they know what they are doing? Do they understand us? So it's like a marriage. And then if I think we have a good relationship and understanding, mutual of an understanding, then we go to the next step and try some small experiments, and then we make 3 experiments. We may pay him for it, so they get the money. But please don't go into production operative systems at once with an unproven startup, like a Hippo, because at the end they will blame Karl Heinz did it. It's not good.
Okay, so one mitigating measure would be POCs, very small proof of concept.
Yeah, and I think that's the big point about it. I think due diligence is one thing, getting to know each other and especially being on the same page about where you want to go together. And this is more about values than just about technology. But I think on the other hand, the emphasizing the due diligence part is really the old word thinking. And it's about failing fast, about bringing this to the market, see can we work together? Is our product relevant to the client, whether it be an internal client for a process optimization or the outside client, does the product fly? And then move it from there, and then you see if we can work together and if actually our working together brings about something that's valuable to the customer in the end.
So you want to ask?
A little other perspective from the startup perspective.
Yeah, sure.
I think for me, that the insurance company takes me seriously when we do the proof of concept. I'm all for that, but I need money for that because otherwise I can't live, basically, because that's my income.
Sure.
That's an important thing. But also I have to decide very early on in my business development of a startup, what do I want to be? Do I want to be an enabler for insurance companies? Then I don't fight against them, or do I want to disrupt them? And this builds trust or mistrust from the beginning. And if I set up the contracts, all what I do, that they see, okay, these guys just want to grab information and build their own insurance, then we have a problem. And then the problem is trust. And all I can do also give you trust in the way to be very open about how my company is set up, who are my investors, who are the people behind me, what's my team. I think all that I can provide, and then we can work together and create the trust to actually do the proof of concept.
I would like to emphasize one thing you said. I agree absolutely, and you said we have to pay you for your efforts. That means that as an insurance innovator in a big company, I need budget. I need money. And so Baloise, we have some. So the executives trust me and the team, and then we can decide on our own up to a certain kind of level of payments, and then we don't have to ask every time. It takes too long because these guys are very fast and we have to speed up, and then we as an insurance company can only speed up if I have a dedicated team with dedicated resources with some money on the side that I can say, hey, we want 15K, okay, let's do it. Let's do a small part for 15K. After that, the bills get bigger, of course, because they get more complex, but on the other side, I get more value. And for me, in our 3 steps I showed you, I need this validated data because no executive can discuss on the hard facts I produce with my POC, and then
Absolutely.
it's difficult to, if they don't like what I'm doing or the team is doing, then it's difficult to say no, if we can prove they get a lot of money for you.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
And then we get more money because they trust.
Money can convince. That's surely true.
Actually, if you allow, because I would like to ask a quick question to Lukas. As you were just touching on risk, as you're a startup working in a very sensitive area, sometimes with life data, patient data,
Exactly.
health industry, how do you deal with new potential partners that say, well, the first appointment you're going to have is with our lawyer department, and we'll have 25 people, and they send you 200 pages of contract before they get to talking to you. How do you deal with that?
We work through it. That's a simple answer, no. When I go to our potential clients, I'm very clear about what we do with the data, what happens with the data, and since we are working with live patient data, basically, we tell the insurance companies, okay, your data stays with you, we're working on-premise. If I use the word cloud and health insurance in the same sentence, I'm out the window. That doesn't work.
Yes,
So,
that's a hurdle. So we didn't work together, but it's true what you say, because at our company we got a cloud board, for example. So I introduced a watch insurance. It was a cool project. I had a lot of fun. And after we introduced the watch insurance, you can make a picture of the watch and then it's insured with 3 clicks. Then the executive said, hey guys, do you have are you allowed to use the Amazon Web Service Cloud? Yeah, why not? Do you have the agreement from the cloud board? It's an executive board. What's a cloud board? So, and then on the next project, it was bike insurance. I made the way through the cloud board and whatever. Nice guys, of course, that's a job. They protect the common company. That's the job. That's okay. And then the German guy said, "Okay, I got it. I like your idea. We say yes. Okay, then can go ahead. No, I take it for you to the Swiss cloud board." So, oh, there's another cloud board, yes. How long will it take? So that was my last question of the day. So that's really, as you said, so like your company is doing it on-premise inside of the house of the insurance company. So the data from our customers don't leave our borders or fences.
There's long ways to go.
Makes it easy for me. Makes it easy for me. It's good.
This is what we are trying, especially in the sensitive areas, that we take all the hurdles for the guys who actually pitch my idea then inside the company to make it easy. Okay, how are these guys funded? And then I go like, okay, State of Hessen is one of is trustworthy. It's not some Chinese investment company, so something like that. For example. So great trust and clear processes how we do stuff and transparency. That's the only way I have a chance, because we're a company of 8-9 people at the moment. Obviously, it's not huge. When I go to, I don't know, Allianz, it's like...
We have 80 lawyers, specialized in startups.
They're going to eat me alive if I do anything. No, we have created contracts that basically go through all that stuff. I can show to them, and then they can evaluate that, and maybe we change a little bit. But I can't really translate that. But wer schreibt, der bleibt. Who writes the contracts? They're going to stay in place, and So.
Okay. But we've now been talking all the time about a friendly cooperation between the InsurTech and the insurance. As a mentor, have you also been in contact with these disruptors? For example, like contract management, so where you put all your contracts into one app, and the app does the brokering work for you. And this is
I love them because it's easy for the customer. Yes.
Yeah, it's easy for the customer, but I think the insurances don't like them, and there won't be that level of cooperation between the two of them.
So I think this is a very interesting view, because I think there are two truths inside, or two kind of views. The first view is it's good for the customer because he has an app, maybe here in Frankfurt where we have Clark, right? And they have an app where you have all your contracts inside the app. This is very good for the customer. So first view from me as an insurance company is it doesn't bother me because I'm selling insurance contracts. Formerly paper-based, maybe now electronically. So I produce insurance products. I don't produce app and customer experience, I don't do it. So on the short view, I would say it's nothing of interest. They are a broker, they sell insurance for me, increases my top line, it's good for me. On the longer side of view, of course, it's so we know it's a kind of a risk inside there, because the customer will only work with Clark, with a digital broker, because it's a very good customer experience. Because to be honest, Clark wouldn't be existing if we would have a very great customer experience. So, and we don't have. So that's a risk, because the customer will stick to Clark, and maybe if Clark gets mad on us, they will just switch over to another insurance company.
Right. And
so that's a risk.
And the insurance gets less visible. It's like PSD2 in the banking. It's really, the insurance is getting less important because
it's just a product provider.
Right.
So it's not like a car. You have BMW, Porsche, you have emotions on it.
Right.
And insurance you typically don't, and then you can switch just providers. So.
I think with that, the issue has always been like that in the insurance industry, because the insurers typically do not own the touch point to the client. If you have a broker in between, now it's a digital broker. I think it's the same thing. To me, the question here is, what about the real digital insurers, the ones that also applied for a license, whether it be with BaFin or some that incorporated in Luxembourg or Liechtenstein? We actually only have a handful of that. Did an interview with Kathleen Köhn. She's head of the InsurTech task force at BaFin and also at IOPA. And what she said is that, interestingly enough, most of the new disruptors that came out there are not often regulated. They're regulated by the chambers of commerce because they're brokers.
Right.
And so I think the number of new entrants has been relatively small so far. But we need to see how they will perform going forward.
Is One or Lemonade only brokers as well? They're
They're
real insurance
they
companies, right?
are real insurance companies.
Yeah. So I think insurance companies should own the touch point to the customer. This is something they maybe overlook because that's where the money comes from. And when you lose that, and today it's never been easier to create your own insurance companies when you do all this stuff, like Otto Müller, for example.
You two are very right. I think from today's point of view, it's always easy afterward, but from today's point of view, it was a strategic mistake to outsource sales in the insurance vertical. Especially in Germany, it was heavily outsourced, and from my knowledge, it's only Delica that have their own sales force. All other 300 insurance companies have outsourced their sales force to other companies, or at least the tied agents are self-employed, so they don't have to do what I say. They can sell whatever they want, and I have no control over them. That is, so at the end, I don't have control over the touch points of the customer. And after 50, 60 years of doing this outsourcing practice, I have a lot of ideas, but I don't know how you can reverse it. Besides buying one.
Yeah, but I have a couple of ideas for that, so we can talk afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, we have 2 more minutes left. And now comes this typical analyst ending of a panel. I give you 2 sentences for each of you, one for the InsurTech companies and one for the insurances. What would you recommend for them? Really, what's just one sentence? Otherwise, we steal him this time. So, recommendations for the insurer?
So if I would be a startup, I would heavily pitch insurance companies with the 3 steps I showed you.
Sure.
Of course. And if I am an insurance company, I would train my staff to think more structured, maybe also in these 3 steps.
Okay.
If I am in a startup and I try to go laser focused in one thing I can do really well, and just pitch that idea and own that technically. Yeah, know my shit.
Right.
If I was a big insurance company, I would structure my process to figure out what I actually need, which use cases I can apply, and a little experience from, if I have the time, for myself. When I go to an insurance company and they have no idea about their process and stuff, I can basically go home. I had a very good experience where we went through these use cases and they go back at their desk and they count stuff and to see if it's actually valid. And that's what they all should do. Go back with a concrete idea, try it out, and then come back. Focus.
Yeah, I think as an InsurTech, be crystal clear on what the value is that you bring. Make sure that you bring in someone who understands insurance if that's not your home turf, and make it easy for the insurance company to like you and to actually work with you. And I think for the incumbents, it's really about making sure that it's the right people that take care of innovation, that also have the clout with a T inside the company to bring these changes about and move stuff, and then be willing to fail fast.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you to the panel. I think that was a great discussion. Thank you very much.